Welcome to this advanced WYSIWYG training for emails. Keep in mind that you can use this training when editing emails no matter what event you are sending the email from. On the screen is an example of a WYSIWYG in the coaching email section. A WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. So basically, when you type in here to start an email, it's just like a Word document. There are a couple of different things to be aware of when using the WYSIWYG, and we're going to go through some of the advanced uses. There's of course standard formatting such as bold, italicized, and underline. You can also copy and paste. You can also align your text center, left, or right. You can also add number bulleting or regular bulleting or change the indentation. You can also add pictures and documents, which we have other trainings on. We're going to go through some of the things we can do today that are a little bit more advanced. You might want to have an email say Dear and someone's first name. You can add a personalization option. So if you were to go ahead and type in Dear and then use a space, we can go up to the top and use the personalization option, which is a little picture of a person. When you scroll your mouse over it, it says Convio Personalization. Click here and we get a pop-up. There are several personalization options to choose from. The ones we're going to focus on are those that are biographical. So the biographical personalization that we'll want to use in this case is first name. But do realize that username and password are both on here also, which may be good to send out in your first recruitment email. The person who sends the email is never able to actually see all of the other people's email, so this username and password is still protected to the person. But in this case, since we're just saying Dear, we're going to use first name. You always want to put in text to display just in case for some reason the first name field is not there. So we're going to use relayer in this situation. So go ahead and click Insert, and now we'll see that the personalization option is there. So if the personalization option is not empty, we'll see their first name. If it is empty, we'll see relayer. So we'll click out of here and put a comma. We'll use this gray box just like it's any normal text. Go ahead and click Enter. Now we're going to talk about conditional messaging. Conditional messaging is something that you want to send to a person, and it will say one thing if they've raised under $100, or one thing if they've raised over $100, or one thing if they're a team captain, or one thing if they're not a team captain. So for our conditional messaging, we're going to click where we want this conditional messaging to begin, and then we'll go up to the top where it says If. Once the pop-up comes up, we're going to focus on the team raiser or the event information. And these are all of the different conditionals that you can use. So in this situation, if we want to send an email to if they are a self-donor or not, we'll go ahead and click on Is Self-Donor. Once we click on the conditional box, it's always easiest if we use the Edit Convio Conditional button at the top. So I'm going to click there, and we'll see we get a pop-up that has two tabs on the top. So if it is a self-donor, it will have this text, Thank you for making a donation. If the person is not a self-donor, we'll click the other tab, and the text they will see is, Go ahead and make your donation today. Then once we save those changes, we'll see at the bottom, if it is a self-donor, it will have one text, and if it is not a self-donor, it will have another text. Again, we can type out of this field, so that will be our first sentence or our first paragraph, however we want that to appear. If we would like to put a picture next to this text, sometimes it's a little difficult to line this up. So what we want to do is use the table feature. So if I'm going to go ahead and click Enter and click the table, Insert a new table. Once I do that, I get a pop-up with general and advanced table features. So I can choose the number of columns or rows. I can choose if I want a border or not and the alignment. But if I click advanced, I can add a background image if I have that URL. I can also change the border color and the background color. For this example, I'm just going to add in a table so that we can see the text right next to the picture. So I'm going to choose 2 columns and 1 row. And then I'm going to align it center and click Insert. Now we'll see our table has been inserted. So if I want to add text that comes before the picture, I'll go ahead and add in some text, such as fundraise today. And then I'm going to click in the other cell of this table, and that's where I'll want to enter in the picture. Remember that you want to enter in the picture when you upload it to the website before you get to this point. You'll want to upload the picture in the size that you want it to be. So I've already changed the size of my picture to an email sized picture. So I'm going to go up to the top and click on the picture of the tree and choose from my drop down list of the pictures that I have. So I'm going to choose the picture Male Survivor and click Insert. Now I'll see that my text is right next to the picture that I've chosen. Now, if you want to change the location of this text, you can always click in this cell, and there's a couple of different table formatting options. If we click on this one with the small box, it's Table Cell Properties. This will be specific to the cell that I'm in. So I'm going to click this button, and then I can see where I can align my text vertically. So I want this to be at the top rather than at the center, and I can change this here. You can also change the width of this. So if you want it to be about half a page, you can go ahead and put in about 355 pixels. Then once we click Update, we'll see the cell we were working in is now made wider and the text is at the top. You can of course use your horizontal alignment at the top and align it center. The other features of this table are we can go ahead and make properties that are specific to an entire row, or we can insert a row before or after where our mouse is, or we can delete a row completely. You can do the same with columns by adding, deleting, or putting columns before or after where you are. You can also put two columns together or two rows together. So I'm going to go ahead and click in this column, and I'm going to add a row after where we are. If I want to make this one column rather than two, I'm going to highlight over both of these columns, and then I'm going to click the button at the top that is the Merge Table Cells button. When I click that button, you'll see that this is now one solid row rather than being two columns in this row. If I want to undo that, I can always click the button next to that Split Merge Table Cells. These are just a few things that you can do when you are editing the WYSIWYG. I always recommend that you send yourself a review email. Just beware. The information that you receive in the test email will be according to what information relates to you. So it will have dear and it will have your first name. But in its conditionalized messaging, it will only email you whichever category you fit in. It won't email you an example of both. So just beware of that. But make sure to always send yourself test messages, and make sure you also save and save often. For more trainings and resources, visit our support website at www.saonlinehelp.org.